Alright, now we will talk about your Sun opposition Jupiter. Now, unfortunately, because Jupiter is a benefic planet, this opposition is not that bad. So an opposition is, in a sense, a separating of energies, or a like tug of war between two energies, where it's like they kind of are on a scale, and sometimes one planet gets advantage, and then other times another planet gets advantage. And I hope so yeah, that's pretty much what that is. So in this case, we have Sun, right, which deals with ambition, the ego, one's sense of drive, how one, in a sense, expresses oneself out into the world, right? It's ultimately the energy that one utilizes to propel oneself forward. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It is a benefic planet, meaning the things it deals with are beneficial to us. It deals with things like faith, things like spirituality, things like generosity, things like jovialness, so just being jolly. So yeah, it's a very happy-go-lucky, optimistic sign. So for beginners, like within this opposition, right, the negative quality here is that there can be a tendency of kind of trying to play it as if, like, fake confidence, in a sense, like playing it off as if, oh yes, I know what I'm doing, or kind of being more rebunchish and expressing a greater energy in the sense of one's skill sets and qualities that's not really coherent to reality. And I hope what I'm trying to say is making sense to you. So I guess to sum it up, like, it's an energy of playing it off to your friends, like, yeah, I can do this, like, I'm about to do this, the third, the fourth, the fifth. But then it's like these being your close friends or associates or whatever it may be, they can, in a sense, see through your bluff. You feel me? So there may be a need to understand that one shouldn't over expand their ego-ness, right, and over importantize themselves in risk of, like, losing acquaintances or losing friends. You feel what I'm saying? In the sense that those closest to you kind of have this ability to see through the fluff whenever it's presented. So that's the first explanation. Now, secondly, right, these are individuals who are highly ambitious, and they want great, grandiose things in life, but sometimes in their pursuit towards those great and grandiose things, they may fail to measure their skill sets versus that goal that they're wanting. So it is of great importance that they ensure that they have the necessary skill sets to acquire those things that they want. And so really this can even play out in the sense of having the skill set already, but more so needing to learn how to hone in on that skill set and further develop it. And so yeah, I'll leave it at that. So this opposition between the sun and the moon, the sun and Jupiter, it can even play out in a manner of like, because Jupiter being spirituality and things like that, like there may be, and then like the sun, right, being like the identity, there may be like this yin yang sort of like inconsistent fluctuation between the identity and like the concepts of spirituality and philosophy, and in a sense naturally not having them like converging with each other, and kind of needing to learn how to balance those two energies out. Okay, yeah. But like for the most part though, this energy really it's more positive than negative. Like the only negative attributes is like blind optimism, being optimistically blind. But like that can be like that's not always a bad thing, but it can. But another thing I think I should bring up is like kind of in relationships sometimes having this imbalance of treating oneself before like treating yeah, I can say that. So like treating oneself before like treating the partner. You feel what I'm saying? So having this imbalance of like fulfilling one's desires and needs and ego energies, and kind of leaving the partner, you know, to how do I put this? To be like, you know, distraught, for lack of a better term. But I would say, yeah, that pretty much is like the breakdown for this aspect. Now we will look into Saturn trine your sun. Alright, now let's talk about your sun sextiling your Saturn. Alright, so when a sextile is taking place, it ultimately is an aspect that we can say produces an opportunity type energy between the two planets. Now in this case we have the sun, right? And we have Saturn, right? Saturn, the planet of systemization, structure, persistence, hardship, discipline, like perseverance, persistence, same thing, right? So when we mentioned how the sun, it's kind of like the ego, the identity, you can say like boasting type energy, or even just ambitions and one's desires and one's needs, you know, those things that drive us. So when there's a sextile between Sun and Saturn, this produces for an individual who in a sense understands the value and importance of hard work, and they are willing to put in the hard work and the efforts, you know. And it's like a lot of things that you have acquired, that you have, has come about because you earned it, you know. This type of energy is kind of like an energy of having pride in a sense, and having an ability to work hard for your things and then acquire those things, you know. And then also with Saturn, with the Sun and the Saturn sort of energy, there is this natural like respect, and we can even say obedience towards authority, right? Kind of understanding the value and importance of those authoritative figures and why it is important for them to be there. So there is this great ability to comply type energy as well. But yeah, I think that pretty much would conclude this aspect. Alright, now let's look into the next aspect. Alright, now with the Sun sextile Uranus. So Uranus is, for starters, the higher octave of Mercury, right? And Mercury is the planet of communication, socialization, you know, intellectual activities and things like that. Thus, with this sextile, you know, this does make you in a sense, we can say, a free thinker, like a very innovative thinker, you know. Like these are individuals who can be, to an extent, futuristic with their way of thought, and they do most definitely have a desire to want to assist humanity. You know, Uranus, it is a very much socially inclined planet that deals with the assistance of others and things like that. And so, you know, there can be this energy of like having a desire to want to utilize your mind and your grandiose ideas, or creative ideas, I guess is another term I can use, to help improve and better humanity. And so these energies can typically do express best in the fields of science, education, um, science, education, politics, even. So there is this most definite desire to want to contribute and to want to, in a sense, assist humanity, or even like improve circumstances and conditions, so then the generations to come may themselves have an experience that's not so hard. Now, Uranus, it is somewhat of an eccentric planet, so there can be like this energy of well, of course let me start off by saying this. There is this energy of having a desire to like want to ensure that you are able to fuck bro, that was alright. So it's actually a square, not an opposition. And so with the moon squaring Mars, right? So Mars is the planet that deals with like aggression, assertiveness, dominating others, things like that. So it's a very masculine, assertive type of energy. And so the moon is quite the opposite. And so when the moon and the Mars square each other, for starters, there tends to be like this energy or tendency of volatility when it comes to one's emotions that may arise from one's inability to know how to deal with certain repressed emotions, or rather not know how to deal with emotions, so then thus in a sense repressing them. And as a result of this repression of emotion, one of the ways, the primary ways that this repression of emotion may find exertion or exit out is through like argumentative and arguing, and things like that. And there may even be this energy of thinking that in one's combative nature, they may just be asserting themselves, but it may not even be a clear communication in the sense of a clear means of getting things across, but rather a means of releasing certain emotions that were just pinned up. And this, in the long run, may go on to make people feel alienated from you. So what it is there is a necessary need to learn how to, in a sense, start to, for starters, deal with certain emotions and find healthier channels to confront and address certain emotions that you repressed. And this can be, of course, in the home, but it may primarily be also at work, because Mars is more so of a active, ambitious orientated sign. And so the inability of dealing with one's repressed emotions may go on to, in a sense, create like unsatisfactory energies even at work. And once an individual starts to learn better ways of communicating and handling and dealing those like irritations, I guess we can say, and this is just in general, but probably even in the work, then they may start to find it more harmonious and more reaping, like fruit-wise, more enjoyable, rather, I should say. Now, also, there may be an energy of defensiveness, an energy of like like not wanting to, somewhat having like a fear of being attacked by others, and so like attacking them before they even have the opportunity of attacking you. But this is kind of like just being so volatile emotionally and having all this pent up aggression is that there may be this energy of imagining a threat when the threat is not even existent, you know? And so being volatile and aggressive to certain people when in reality it's more in like your mind, and these people may not have those ill intentions or whatever. So really it just goes back to learning how to release certain pent up emotions. Um, yeah, and the more one can release those pent up emotions, the more like happiness we can even say one will start to experience in their life. More ease. I feel like ease is a better word to use, and more like contentness and fulfillment, emotionally speaking, rather than someone always feeling like you're on edge and having to like be up defensiveness. But yeah, so pretty much that's that. And now we'll look into some more aspects. Alright, now we're going to be discussing your sun sextile Uranus. So Uranus is ultimately the higher octave of Mercury. It's the planet of innovation, originality, uniqueness. But it also is a social planet, you know, embracing society and others. So first and foremost, being an intellectual planet, this sextile does produce for an energy of, we can say, a brilliant mind, in the sense that individuals that have their sun sextile Uranus, they in a sense are very innovative with the way that they think. They have this, in a sense, ability to inspire others. They can have a intuitive trend with their inventiveness and their innovativeness, you feel what I'm saying? And ultimately, these individuals do also have this innate desire to like want to assist and want to like improve circumstances and situations for society at large. But simultaneously, as Uranus can be like somewhat of a like rebellious sign, we can say, or like eccentric sign, there also can be like this energy of them feeling like they don't really fit in with society, or having this energy of more so wanting to isolate themselves from other people rather than deal with other people. Maybe even a desire to want to change the way that society is conducted. But the best advice I feel I can portray is that when it comes to this energy, like there shouldn't be a desire per se to want to change society, but there should more so be a desire to want to change the self and the inner world. Not not even from a perspective of, okay, so this is what society wants of me, so I will start to change myself, but more so from a perspective of altering and changing oneself, so then they in of themselves, for themselves, even become a better person. You feel me? And I do hope that that makes sense. But also with your honest sextiling the sun, right, there is this natural ability to know how to express oneself in a unique manner, in a manner that sometimes may even be controversial, in the sense that these individuals can have strong opinions, right? They can be strongly opinionated, but typically, Uranus being um, a intellectual planet, a lot of their reasons for being opinionated, or their opinions typically are based on concrete logic or concrete reasoning. But yeah. So I would say that pretty much concludes this breakdown of the Uranus sextile energy. So just to run it over again, this does produce for an individual who is highly creative, with their way of thinking. When it comes to the field of expression that may this individual may even do good in contributing, it can be from science to education to even politics. And there is also this need, like, to ensure that they have communication, open communication with other people, but not just random strangers, but especially those that they are most closest to. And there is this, like, there, yeah, like, I'll say this, like, there is kind of this. Alright, you know what, I should say there could be, because with, the Libra energy and the Gemini energy, this may somewhat be tolerated possibly, but for the most part though, with Uranus sextile the sun, there is this, like, innate hatred for, like, lies. Like, they don't like, especially those people closest to them, to be dishonest, but rather they prefer clear communication. And it's also of great importance that these individuals don't isolate themselves, but allow themselves social time. You feel me? But yeah, I would say that pretty much concludes, like, this Uranus, sextile the sun. Right now, let's look into the aspects that your moon is making. Alright, so the first aspect up for discussion is your moon Venus aspect. So, well, it's a trine, yeah. Your moon is trining your Venus. Alright, so with your moon trining your Venus, this is an indication of rather having a somewhat harmonious like, temperament, and also being an individual of great sensitivity. So before we get into that, let's get into what, like, Venus is. And so we discussed what the moon is, right? It's one's emotional tendencies, how one receives and reacts to the world, right? Yeah, ultimately that's what it is, like, how one reacts and responds to the world. Now, Venus is the planet that deals with, like, social affairs. It's the planet that deals also with feelings. So the moon more deals with emotions, right? And then, like, Venus more so deals with feelings. And so the primary difference between an emotion and a feeling is emotions, they're more like in your mind. You can say that you more feel them. They're like in conjunction with thoughts, but then feelings, they're more like in your body, right? Feelings. Alright, but anyways, with Venus trining your moon, this first and foremost makes for a person who is, in a sense, rather peaceful and harmonious. But then we will also discuss your Mars square moon, because that kind of throws somewhat throws this energy off whack, because Mars trine moon rather creates somewhat of an aggressive nature and aggressive tendency within a person, but simultaneously with, like, Venus and moon trine, there is this innate desire to, in a sense, want to be kind and yielding and loving and nurturing to other people, having, like, this sensitivity in the sense of what other people need and how you can be of best to serve and assist them. Now, of course, with Venus trining the moon, and the moon dealing with the domestic life, this harmonious expression of the self may be more prominent when it comes to, like, close friends and family members as well. And I would say the moon Mars aspect may be more so tailored towards the outside, but it can nevertheless still find ways to somewhat seep into the inner circle. But we'll talk about Mars moon trine in a bit. Well, it's not a trine, it's a, what is it? Hold on, I think it's an opposition. Yeah, it's an opposition. But anyways, yeah, I got it. Yeah, but anyways, I'll look into that later. But anyways, yeah, pretty much with Venus trining your moon, it indicates that you have this like harmonious temperament about you when it comes to, in a sense, knowing how to like take care of people and nurture people. There may be even this energy of having a vibe about you that children may find greatly likable. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's more to say about that energy. Now let's look into, yeah, Moon Mars opposition. All right, so now to discuss Moon sextile Jupiter. So interestingly enough, the Moon sextile Jupiter kind of alters and changes that energy between like your Sun oppose your Jupiter. So whereas with the Sun opposed Jupiter, there may kind of be this ram like rambunciousness of one feeling like I did it, and I did it myself, and kind of having a tendency of forgetting those who helped you as you progressed towards, right, your climbing of your mountain. With the Moon and Jupiter sextile energy, there is this energy of like um, always being appreciative and like never forgetting those who, in a sense, helped helped you in your progression upwardly. So rather, there actually being this appreciation for them and this warmth expression of gratitude towards them, and thus they in of themselves in return continuously wanting to continue to assist and propel you forward. Now, with the Moon and Jupiter energy, it also indicates an individual who has a broad amount of ability to feel and express emotions. And so, with this Moon sextile energy, also, this does produce for an individual who has great ability in developing their mind, right? And careers that involve the mind, careers that may involve memory, things like accounting, even writing, education, science, things like that, which we already discussed, may be of paramount benefit and value to this energy. But for the most part, though, with the moon sextile Jupiter, the primary highlight is an individual who has also great abilities to expand their mind and like truly know how to utilize and take advantage of maybe their past experiences, and like their also like their resources in manners where it's like they know how to take their resources, whether that be their skills or whatever, and continuously propel and expand, um, propel and expand like their career life or whatever it may be. So, Moon's sextile Jupiter is a very expansive aspect. It primarily helps in the expansion of the mind, but it may also help in the expansion of jovial experiences when it comes to like the home, when it comes to expressing generosity and being caring and giving, all those energies. But pretty much I would say that would sum up the moon sextile Jupiter energy. But yeah, now let's look into the other aspects. Alright, now let's talk about Uranus opposition the moon. So Uranus is an intellectual planet, as we have discussed. It's also a planet that inclines towards freedom of expression. It's rather eccentric, if you know what I'm saying. And so ultimately, with you having the moon um, opposition Uranus, there can be this energy of, well, for starters, a restless mind, right? And a continual need and desire for stimulation, but also a, like, getting tiredness of routine and the same thing, and so having the desire to want to experience change, possibly, like, every year, every 6 months, however it may be. And so this energy of desiring transformation and change can express in, from changing of career, from, changing your career, um, like every now and then, or even the changing of cars, or even the changing of the houses. But ultimately, it is a desire to want to break out of, like, the mundane, but through changing external circumstances. And so here there also may be a clash or an imbalance between one's innate emotional desires and needs versus one's intellect and intellectual desire to really express themselves freely. And so, most definitely, there is of great importance that one has that freedom to be able to, like, um, do things that are, in a sense, out of the ordinary every now and then, and have a schedule and pattern that's not so restricted into, for instance, like, eat, sleep, work, repeat, eat, sleep, work, repeat, but kind of somewhat having a differentiationness with this. And so it is of great importance that you, in a sense, make and put systems into play that you can tap into to, in a sense, allow your soul to be free. Otherwise, that desire for, like, transformation and change may rather express, we can say, rather destructively than constructively. And yeah, I would say that that's pretty much it. Kind of, to conclude, this energy can kind of play out opposively from the perspective of one's internal needs versus one's external expectations and intellectual feelings. Alright, yeah.